Today's show is proudly sponsored by Rio, the premium activewear brand that's dedicated to making you feel your very best and your most authentic self. Use code INTUNE10 for 10% off your order today. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Intune podcast, where we discuss the music that makes us mindful. Today in the studio, we have a DJ, an artist, a producer, and the CEO of FOMO Entertainment, but he is all one guy. I give you Cisco Carter.
I am forever changing. I don't mind rearranging. You've got to crawl before you walk. Routines I never bother, 'cause my mind can change by the hour, and I can live without a clock. Oh, don't you worry about me. Oh, 'cause I'm right where I should be. I'm doing just fine. Gonna paint my walls with my own design. Don't rush me, 'cause
I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you
on this
so
cold
much.
day.
It's kind of a beautiful cold
Yeah,
day, though.
it is,
We got
though.
sunshine. I've
Yeah.
been like smiling since 7:30 this morning. So
I love that. You said you took a walk too. You were like, I walked here.
yeah, I got here early. I needed to be outside, so I got
Yeah.
a nice little brisk walk.
That's awesome. I know that's important to you. I think that's I technically I met you one time before, but like really we just got to talking today, but I've obviously like looked you up and you know, through friends I've heard a lot of really amazing things about you, so I really wanted to have you on.
Thank you. I definitely stalked you as well.
Yeah.
So.
You have to, right? You got to know a little bit about the
yeah.
person
Oh,
sitting
yeah.
across from you. But I think the thing that I loved the most when I was like listening to previous podcasts that you've done, things like that, is that you just wear so many hats and that you seem to just carry them so gracefully and really know where your priorities lie and how it is that you're going to accomplish them. I thought that was so special, and I think that a lot of people love to hear about that and how that kind of flows in your life.
Yeah, I think setting down all your goals is the most important thing. And that's the one thing I see every single day is my goals. Like when I start, before I go to sleep, I know the layout of my next day. It might be like bits and pieces here and there, but with time, you know, you got to make the most of it. And I just feel like I had so many distractions so long in my life that I wasn't achieving exactly my goals, where people would be like, oh, you're so successful. You're doing everything you want. You're able to be here, there. How is that? I have so many supportive friends that asked about everything. And to me, I'm already to the next thing because I know where my goals are. So how do I get to that next step? And it's almost like celebrate in the moment and then move past it as fast as you can so you can continue to have those steps of celebration. And I feel like wearing a lot of hats kind of keep me busy, so I don't have to think about any of the negatives too long. I can just focus on like what's coming up, what's positive, and being present in those moments, you know.
Definitely. I know even before we got on and started talking here, you were saying how you were like taking a little bit of a social media break, like within the new year, and then kind of getting your head wrapped around it to start kind of pushing forward with all of the new stuff that you have going. And I think that's like super important, super healthy. I think a lot more people should probably be doing that. But I feel like I am seeing that a lot more in just people in general. A lot of creatives as well are starting to feel a little bit of burnout, and I don't know, do you feel a little bit like that sometimes?
Yeah, my burnout necessarily wasn't from the social media. My burnout was the distraction of social media. I wasn't strong enough to not open an app.
Yeah.
Whereas I should be making a song and I'm halfway in the song and I take a break and it's been 30 minutes of me scrolling instead of a break to, you know, get a fresh air, go get a water real quick, even walk my dogs or read and then go back to it. And just knowing my first thing, last thing was social media, and it wasn't me creating, it was me consuming.
Yeah.
And so now I traded it for a book. And I've been reading quite a bit lately. So I miss books.
Books are the best. I made it like a huge priority last year to make books a thing for me. And I think I read like 30 books last year.
Yeah, no, that's incredible because I tried to do 52 in a year, so one a week. I graduated college without reading a single book.
Oh my gosh.
I never finished a book.
Right.
I mean, I lied. I definitely cheated. I spark note. I got through everything without reading a book from cover to cover. And then I was like, man, my New Year's resolution, not only finish a book, but consume knowledge from the books. I wanted 3 to 5 takeaways. I wanted to take notes. I wanted to be able to recommend books. I wanted to start a library instead of just doing some audiobooks here and there. And the amount of knowledge, my diction, the word choices I use, what I consumed and took away my mental health from not only reading, but the application behind the reading. And being able to see and hear what people are saying instead of being able to hear and see what I'm about to say. It's crazy.
It's life-changing, honestly. I like, if I could say one thing about like what I learned like my whole last year, because we did just kind of cross into 2024. Like 2023 for me was learning about how to heal myself and learning about what it is that I really wanted, what were the important things for me, and then also like learning from people who are far smarter than me, and realizing that they are all in the books, they are all in the podcast, the audiobooks, the things like that, instead of listening to something, you know, I still love a fictional book, but still like, you know, sometimes I'll go there, but really replacing a lot of time where I was scrolling with learning something new has changed my life, and I feel like that's a huge thing that maybe people should start switching over to.
And then the people you hang out with, never lose them, but also invite others who are where you want to be or in positions that you only dreamed of to be in, become more in your life. That's also been a really big help for me.
Yeah, that's huge. I know that like I've talked quite a bit with a lot of people on this podcast about just kind of knowing where you came from, but definitely always like, you know, making sure you surround yourself with the people that you're looking up to and who you want to be and what crowds you want to be a part of, and really being mindful of that. And I've just seen so many of those people who have taken those steps elevate in such a quick way that you didn't even realize. Like as soon as they made that distinction and that switch in their mind, they were like skyrocketing to where they wanted to go because they were learning so quickly from so many people. So
it's the things that you do when people don't see in public, even though you're still with someone or reading, you know, those are the things that make you who you are.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely tell like through your trajectory. I know like even when I was like listening to certain podcasts that you did, you were talking about how you didn't even start really DJing until COVID. What a turnaround. Like that was just a few years back. Like you just knocked that out of the park. Do you want to talk a little bit about how like that even got started for you and what kind of pushed you to get there?
I was in financial advising, and then a music festival came, and I've always been obsessed with music festivals, concerts, shows. I knew I wanted to transition. I remember just starting to post every show that I was interested on my Instagram, and I switched my blog. It was like freshly squeezed. It's the juice worth the squeeze. Like, are you spending your money wisely? Yeah. And then can you get the same look for cheaper? This is all stuff that everyone's doing already on social media now, but the dupes and all that stuff. And then I transitioned it to like, how can you save money to spend money? And towards music and supporting your friends. And that's the one thing, you know, we have these shows, they might cost $5, $10. And yet our friends are more likely to spend $50 to $150 on another show that they've never met the person. And so just transitioning and using those same values of substitution. And then I started posting what was coming here. And then the music festival came. I started working in it. But I've always been such a fan of music. I knew vibes of music can control your whole mood. I would get off the football field and I needed to be calm. So I'd listen to like Sarah Bareilles, Nora Jones, stuff like that. And I love it. Like I really did, because it controlled me where my heart rate could be centered and slow. And then sometimes I would be so pumped up that I was like, man, I might have a heart attack. Like I'm ready to run through a wall. This is not good. So then I'd like listen to more melodic house and stuff like that. What still gets you going, but not enough to run through the wall, maybe open the door and then run out it.
Take a step back, think about it, then go through the door.
Yeah. And then dancing, like I've always loved to dance. I remember in 2013, I went to my first music festival, which was Ultra Music Festival, and it's EDM, electronic dance music. I knew that I loved all the random alien spaceship sounds, as my dad would say, because I grew up listening to R&B, to pop, a lot of rap. And then these songs would come and I'll be like, man, that's like, I've cried to music before, but Avicii was a big artist back then and he just changed his name from Tim Bergerlin. But when he had a song called Seek Bromance, it was like our spring break anthem. And I was like, okay, this is like the stuff I want to get into.
Absolutely.
And the energy from that music festival. I remember I got lost 7 minutes into the music festival and my phone died. This was just, I spent the whole day alone and it was incredible. And
what a relief, honestly.
Yeah, but I say alone because I wasn't with the 4 people I should have been with.
Yeah.
But I spent it all in community. Like people just gravitated and let me jump around with them. One of my friends who I met there, his girlfriend, he would like put her on her shoulders and I'll watch. And I was like, man, if you ever need a break, like I know she wants to be on your shoulders the whole time. So we were just like passing his girlfriend on her shoulders because I'd be like, you get the best view. Like you got the best videos. And it was just so much fun. But I had already studied the music. I've already been such a fan. And then we finally had COVID come and slow us down and I canceled an event. And I was like, man, what am I going to do? Like, this is my source of income. I don't know really what to do in this time. But I had all the music equipment. I had the industry standard DJ set up. I had CDJs, decks, and I asked my friend because he noticed I had them. He was like, man, can I come over and use them? I was like, if you teach me how to DJ, you can have them. Like, I'm not going to use them for any shows. Right. And he taught me every day almost. We spent all of COVID together learning. And then he started producing live streams with us. And now he is a successful VJ doing it, running visuals, but also amazing DJ. And he taught me all the ropes and gave me a lot of opportunities too.
I love that when you have somebody that will like climb with you and really is not gatekeeping any information and you're kind of just sharing what you know. I think that's so important.
Oh my God.
I talk about that all the time. I have a really like solid friend group, a solid group of people who really like will shout, you know, my name and I'll shout their name and it like through any room that I'm in and teach them anything I know and they do the same. And it really does move you quicker into a space of just like knowing what it is that you're doing and where you need to go for sure.
And once I got to the point that I was allowed to play in bars and restaurants and, you know, clubs, it was like December 18th, 3 years ago, I had my first set and people were kind of mad that I was able to play in such a predominant nightclub that we had as my first gig. And I'll never forget like the jealousy of the DJs because I already asked so many people to help me. Yeah. And now I got so much help that I got booked where I guess people thought I would steal gigs and, you know, they're kind of worried because we're coming out of COVID. We all haven't worked that much. Like we all wanted money. Yeah. And I remember my friend telling me like a lot of people were jealous about it. And then I was like, no, there's no way. They've been so supportive. And then my friend who gave me all his music, a lot of people gave me music and I organized, had to learn how to do the computer software because I started on a flash drive with my friend's music. And I asked one of the DJ who had already been my friend for like 5 years if I could sit down with him and like go over and get some music from him. And I'll never forget, he sent me a record pool, which is how to download music. Yeah. And it was like $50. And he was like, I would use this if I was you. And that's all he said. No. And I was like, I guess this is one of those people my friends were talking about. Yeah. And I don't even know if he's still DJing, that guy.
I think though, like you said, it's what happens behind closed doors. Like, they could probably easily look at you and be like, we've been doing this for forever and we're not getting these shows, but like also did they make the calls? Did they reach out to everyone? Did they, like, you don't know. So like, you know, people can be, everybody specifically gets, you know, what it is that they end up working for in the end, and they end up in the right places. And I always say to myself, like, when I'm like, oh man, why am I not where I thought I would be yet? And I have to have a step back and be like, hey, maybe it's because you didn't do everything that, you know, you could have done. And that's a really hard pill to swallow for sure. And there's definitely times, I think, where people go through these moments where they're like, yeah, no, I really did do everything I could, and that's just not the way that it worked out. Yeah. But there's no reason for like jealousy behind that. You can just kind of push forward and be like, hey, then like, can you show me how you did that? And that's a much easier way to get into doors, and then everybody's happy because you're like, this is how I did that. Yeah. And then here, let me bring you on, let me show you what I did, let me like help you out as well. And that's just, I think that's just so much better.
And there's so many people in competition, and I'm in collaboration. Yeah. I love collaborating. I love watching other people work. I love the artistic. I watched my friend DJ the other day, and he was like, yeah, I'm learning this new thing. If I messed up, I was like, you haven't messed up. You've actually done really well. I was going to tell you how fun my friends and I are having. Like, I'm here to thank you. Yeah. And he was like, man, I guess I'm just my worst critic. Yeah. And I was like, honestly, you shouldn't even be a critic, because you've been someone I've looked up to for years. You're a great DJ. The software is not going to change that. Yeah. And we left shortly after, but I was like, I thought about it. I was like, man, it's hard to hear that, because open format's a hard way of DJing. It's playing every genre and every tempo, and he just crushed it.
Yeah. It's crazy to me, because I know a lot of people like go through this phase where they're like, oh, you know, DJs, they're not real art. Yes, you are. Like, absolutely. You have to be so good to be a good DJ, to figure out like what the tempo is, where it's going, what you're picking next. Like, we have all been to weddings, like clubs, places that are just like, what is this? Who did this? Like, this totally killed the mood. It was not great. I know exactly what they did wrong. Like, things like that. But so it takes a lot, and you really have to you have to do your research. You have to know what feels good. It's a complete form of artistry.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Being an artist is putting emotion behind everything, and also being able to read the crowd. Especially for us, you know, we can get out of a song in 30 seconds if it's not right. Right. And I always tell people when they first start, I'm like, your next goal is to transition the song and find the next song the fastest, because you're not sure if that's going to work or not. Right. And then if you find the next song, now you get to enjoy the song. Yeah. Now you can dance, you can vibe, you can watch, you can crowd read, you can do everything. And then switch it if you need to. You have time to think of how are you going to get to the next song. Yeah. And it is definitely not easy. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's muscle memory by now. Some things are. Yeah. But we're still learning.
Yeah, and there's always new songs coming out. You can't just play the same set over and over again. Like, you got to be changing with the times. Like, just as quickly as social media is changing, you know? Oh, yeah. So you have to be good at, like, picking it up, moving forward. I'm curious what your favorite show you've played so far is.
This has been asked, and I always say my next show, because it's like a blessing to have something in the pipeline, you know? But recently, I've been doing a couple B2Bs is what it's called, but it's back-to-back. It's a DJ set with two people. And honestly, I was like, man, I don't know what to do when the other guy is mixing. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, wait, do the same thing I'll do in the crowd. Yeah. Have fun. Yeah. And just knowing that I've been able to partner with a couple of my friends who have very similar music taste than I do, seeing how they're working, and we work really well. We did a show in Pensacola, me and my friend Zumob, and it was just so fun. He did a lot of visuals beforehand. We created a mix to start our set, and I was like, I'm going to use this to start every set. And so it's like Bruce Buffer announcing, it's like, let's get ready to rumble. And then I come out to that, and it goes straight into a song, and I'm so hype already.
Did you ever get like nervous, or do you ever still get nervous to play a show like that, or like even that first big one that you did, like were you like, oh man, I don't know what's gonna happen here? And
I used to. I actually used to get so nervous because it wasn't even like how to start it. I knew my first song. I didn't prepare ever more than like 1 to 2 songs. I'll be like, all right, I know I'm gonna find this song and that song. After those 1 to 2 songs, I really don't know what I'm doing. I have like a set list that I make.
Yeah.
But no, I just like getting lost in the music.
Yeah.
The
Going
more
prepared, but not that prepared.
the more I prepare, the more I'm gonna put boundaries on myself.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to manipulate my set to everyone. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of more fun for me.
Yeah, that's exciting. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Well, I can't wait to see what you do next with the DJing. I know you've done some cool, we'll talk about that later, but you've got some cool stuff coming up with that, like on the visual side of things. So I'm excited for that all to kind of come out and be popping off. But let's talk a little bit about as well, like you are a CEO of your own company, FOMO Entertainment. Tell me a little bit about that and how that got started, and how you kind of balance that with the rest of the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, so FOMO Entertainment started 3 years back, and we really actually were about to have our 4th birthday.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we're full service entertainment, so that covers events, marketing, and then everything in between. We do, not all of it is music. It used to start as that, and now we kind of white label quite a bit of stuff. So you'll see our posting, our marketing, our strategy development on conferences, on simple bars, also clothing, merch. We've created systems. So all of our systems are almost always going to work.
Gotcha.
For the most part.
Yeah. You're like, it's foolproof for the most part.
For the most part. But, you have a system, but people have to do it. And so we even with our consulting, we give everyone the tools, and are they going to use it? Do they have the will to do the hard work behind it? Not everyone does. Sometimes they're just like, you know what, this sounds good. We'd rather pay you and y'all do it. So we take on a lot of hats for a lot of companies, and then we just like to see the prestige. Like we get to see the growth, we get to see the numbers, we get to see when people show up, we get to see smiles, we get to see community, all the development, and that's kind of the fun thing. A lot of people do their job and don't get to see the reactions of the people that they work with or work for, and we get to see it all.
That's cool. That's exciting. I know you said before that like you had a friend. Was it a friend at the time that was like, "Hey, let's just start this company"? Yeah. And like, what did she say to you? I loved that. I was like, "This is funny."
Can we do badass things with badass people and treat them well? And
I love that.
That was it. I was sold.
We need more of that in the entire world for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Like you said though, like collaboration, over everything else, I think is the key for sure.
Yeah. If you can't collaborate, you can't grow.
Yep. Say it louder for the people in the back.
If you can't collaborate, you can't grow.
That's right. Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, cool. And then you have like, oh my gosh, you're just doing so much. You have also like your own like artist stuff coming out, right? You're like producing things and and you have your own stuff music that's coming out. What is out there already right now for everybody to see?
Last year, I decided, 2023, that I was going to take everything to the next level. And it started with me. I gave up drinking towards the end of 2022. I wanted to make sure that, I'm waking up earlier. And not just like the waking up's easy, but being in a better mood, because I didn't want like hangovers and people like, oh, did you drink a lot and stuff? I didn't even drink that much.
Yeah.
But having a drink here, a drink there, another drink at happy hour, and then going to dinner and having a glass of wine, it's hard to stay hydrated. Yeah. Not that I was drinking a lot, but I just needed, time for myself first. Yeah. And when I put myself first, it also allowed me to get a little more serious about the studio time. Yeah. So I started asking if I could sit in with production. a little more. I took YouTube University to a whole nother level.
Yeah. You really can learn so much though. Like truly, it's all out there for anyone.
It is.
Truly.
And then I was like, okay, I need to start paying for a prescription because, I need to go to the next level. And then also like the people who are mentoring others, they already have such a predominant name. What are they doing? How are they creating a song in 20 minutes when it's taken me 4 to 6 hours, or a week, and then it started with a month, and then a week, and then a day, and now I can, produce a couple songs in one day sitting down.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and
that's so cool.
I have a lot right now. I'm working on all my summer songs right now, so it'll be finished, and I'm trying to stay a couple. Let's just say like a couple seasons ahead.
Right.
But I'm happy with the vibes that it's going, and it's actually way different from the music that I've ever made.
Yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I can't wait to share it. Honestly.
I love talking about like things that like are about to come out. I don't think people realize like how far in advance you have to really think about all of this stuff as artists. But like even a lot of my friends like that are writers, they'll be like, we'll be in like July and they'll be like, yeah, I'm just over here writing a Christmas song. You're like, what are you doing? Yeah, but it's true. Like takes Christmas in July to a whole nother place. But you really are planning. You have to put yourself in a summer vibe for when you're in the middle of winter, and that can be hard for sure. But
it kind of gives you a little light.
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
All the memories and thoughts finally get to come out from the previous summers, or just hearing, a trip to Miami, leaving with so much inspiration, and then you get to come back and like produce similar sounds that you heard. And it's always fun. That's the one thing, like we're always smiling when we get to talk about music. You
have to be, exactly. I always say like every time I do one of these, I'm like at the end, I'm like, whew, when the cameras go off, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was just like, wow, I was smiling so much because it's so much fun to talk about it.
You're like going over there, massaging your cheeks.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, it's too much. Just ear to ear, just because like, and like we were talking about off camera, like I think as creatives who are in music, we don't really realize how much people maybe don't think about music as much as we do. So it's like amazing to talk to like-minded people who really do just think about, music, songs, songwriting, things like that all the time, over and over again in their head, and just to kind of have an outlet to get it all out and to have that platform to talk about whatever it is in that's on your brain, for sure.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you get to meet and talk to so many artists of different calibers and different places, different genres.
It's honestly, it's been such a blessing here, and I know I was in an interesting place when I started this podcast with Antonio. What's up? And I literally, I was just like telling him, I really want to talk to artists, and creatives in general, and just people who are just like bettering their lives. I know that, in this world, in this creative entertainment world, there's a lot of dark, and I think that there's so many people that are like holding this light, that nobody's like giving the floor to, because it's so much more interesting sometimes to watch somebody crumble than it is to put in the work and kind of stand on the other side. And I really wanted to talk with those people who, maybe are putting drinking aside, who are making time to really push forward, and look in themselves and be like, hey, like, how am I going to be the best version of this art without having to be like in the rock star mentality of just like, I'm going hard and I'm, gonna play out that lifestyle that we've all seen go wrong so many times. Just know that there's another side to that, and that music is just as special, if not more. So
because there's a person behind the music, and that person is still just a normal human being.
Exactly. Carrying a lot of weight too. Honestly, I think especially, everybody does, but creatives carry this weight, like they're constantly, I think, trying to accomplish these things that are really feeling unattainable at a lot of moments, and then pushing through over and over and over again, even though everything is pushing against them. And I think that they're just trying to share this thing that they have inside of them so that people feel less alone. And I think it's important to really open the doors and know that just the people on the radio, as amazing as they are, or just the people that you're seeing on your social medias, things like that. They aren't the only artists out there. They aren't the only people doing amazing things. And that's why I think some playlists out there are so cool too, because they're introducing you to new artists that maybe you wouldn't have heard before, and just really opening the windows and doors to all of this different art that's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think art is ever going to stop.
Yeah, no,
And
I can't.
the one thing I love seeing art in every form, whether they're painting, making music, you know, there's an art to almost everything we do.
Yep.
And when people get to glorify their talents, it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And when people really step into it and let it guide them, instead of trying to control it, that is explosive. It's really cool to watch. So I think it's super cool that you got to kind of have this moment. Even, you know, COVID, I think, opened a lot of eyes for people, you know, and just be like, hey, listen, like, I can do all these amazing business oriented things, but what if I decided to let this creative side of me just completely take over? And look what happened. This is so cool. It's so cool to watch.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's so cool.
COVID was so nice to slow down. I mean, it is still looked upon as such a negative time for so many.
Yeah.
And I'm even one of those that, if I don't think about it, like, I'm so fortunate that so many things came out of it, what were positive for me, that I was able to overlook. But it's still like a dark time for a lot of people.
It is. I mean, I think there was so much darkness that the light had to kind of kick its way through, because otherwise I don't know if any of us would have made it through the doors, you know? But we definitely, I think, needed a moment to be like, wow, okay, yeah, we are all going way too hard, way too fast, and none of us are taking the time to breathe or take a walk outside or see what's going on around us. And then I think a lot of people really took that and ran with it. There's like, I think, a huge awakening, if you want to call it that, of people just like, hey, no, I am going to take the time to meditate today. I am going to not take those 17 meetings. I'm going to maybe go to 10, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think it's important, especially for, like, you know, we're headed into this like AI era and things like that, which could be so beneficial on so many levels, but in another way, like, people are just constantly staring at their phones, trying to use that as their crutch. And I think it's important to still stay human and stay in tuned with yourself, and know who it is that's running the computer that's in your hand.
Yeah, because you want to give them the best of you, not the rest of you. And a lot of us get so ran down that is what we're giving, you know. If we can't take a second, a break, or even postpone something because you know you're gonna be present, but you're not gonna be at your best.
Absolutely. I do think, like, I know that like family is really important for you as well, things like that, and I think that's really awesome that, like, you put that as a huge priority for you, and that's definitely something I think a lot of people are learning right now. To say, listen, like, just like I'm scheduling in all of these other things, I'm also scheduling in, like, my family, my holidays, my things like that. Even above career at a lot of points. I think that's really that's important.
And the last year, that was on my goal list last year as well, is to make it to everything that my family includes me in. They're so nice. They're so supportive that they understand. Like,
I love that.
I've chose work in my passions, and I don't want them to think that I'm putting anything above them. So I'm like, you know, let me know. And my dad will call me and be like, hey, we're going to do a cookout. Or my sister will be like, hey, my daughter is getting baptized at church. Or my mom will be like, we really would love to see you. And just saying that, it's enough for me to feel like an invite. And I'll be like, when's the last time I made time? You know, these day trips, I can drive to Knoxville and home. Because
you're from Knoxville, correct? Okay, cool. So you're not too far, which is nice. Yeah.
And then my mom's in North Carolina now, and so it's nice because I can drive to Knoxville, take a night there, see everyone, then drive to North Carolina, spend a couple days. Get to see all my uncles and everything.
That's fun. I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that's important. I definitely... personally, I know that it's hard when you're trying to accomplish so many things, and to really take that time and put that aside and be like, no, I actually am going to go and do this thing.
I actually invited all of them to New Year's. So my sister, my mom showed up. They got to see my sister. She's been pretty supportive. So she's seen me do a music festival. She's seen a concert, but my mom got to be there. It was so amazing. She took pictures. I don't know. She found every single one of my friends. She took pictures with all of them, which made me so happy. But also she was on Facebook Live, half of it. And
that's amazing.
I was so happy to see her there, but also so much more happy to see her happy. And know that she was proud of me, because, you know, you put so much work into this, and I sacrificed quite a bit. And I know right now, I always told myself, you know, once I started getting into a little bit more success, that the ball's going to start rolling, and it's going to be so fast that I can't stop.
Yeah.
And once it gets to be there, I'm going to have to accept certain things that I normally could turn down because of this family time.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to be there and be present while I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I do see that happening for you. I also feel like you're just rooted so deeply into your ideals that I feel like you probably still make that time, though.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's important. I think, I think that's something we can all have a little bit more of, for sure. Okay. So speaking of family time, things like that. I like to ask people on Intune basically 3 songs that are super nostalgic to you. Things that kind of maybe like you grew up with, or maybe a song that was like a heartbreak, or a song that really just like moved you or kind of influenced your life in any kind of way, and why? Yeah,
this is such a good question. My songs are gonna probably be so different, so weird.
That's great. I would only expect that from a DJ though. You know.
These are just little songs throughout, but like the first one came up as Outkast, So Fresh and So Clean. Every Outkast song though I loved, but really it was, I think I was in I definitely was in, you know, primary or elementary school area, but I remember watching Andre 3000 and Big Boy come out on their video, and they are fresh, clean. They have these like mink fur coats on and stuff. And I went upstairs. And got one out from my mom's closet, and I replayed this music video over and over again, and I was just dancing exactly how they were, and my family thought it was amazing. And even like Outkast till this day probably was one of the most influential groups of my lifetime, because I always loved what they did. When you talk about artistry, from music to music videos, everything was so thought out. And then like, hey y'all, like I could do
that was so good. I can see that in my head. Like it comes with the song as soon as it starts playing. I see the colors. Like
I got my hair straightened because I had long hair since like 3rd grade, and I was doing the dances. And my mom got me like a equestrian hat because that's what he had.
That's amazing.
And people would be like, "Why do you have that?" I'm like, you don't even know. It was so special to me because my mom thought, like, she had watched me dress up 3rd grade as Cisco, the artist. Yeah. And put a sun and, like, Sharpie around my belly button for his tattoos. And I was trick-or-treating, and I was so young, and someone was like, Cisco, because I was wearing silver leather pants with a silver leather. My mom has style.
Do you have pictures?
I do not. No.
That is so unfortunate.
My mom probably does, but yeah, I would take her clothes all the time. I dressed like all the time out of my mom's closet, and I was trick-or-treating, and they're like, Cisco. And I was like, how do you know my name? My mom's like, you're dressed up as Cisco, the singer. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, there it is.
And so, all through life, just music videos were so monumental in our life. And then I remember like Luther Vandross, some of his songs, my mom and I would dance to in the living room, and she taught me how to dance properly with a female.
I love that.
And
we need more of that. Yeah. Thanks, Mom. Like, honestly, because that doesn't happen very often anymore.
Yeah, so good soul music, and my mom is just so special. But I think my mom and my dad's love for music has carried, because they used to go on tours and watch Earth, Wind and Fire and Prince
Yes.
and Red Rocks and Denver. All the music probably stemmed from that. And then Kurt Franklin, I just have so many memories of just yelling, "Do you want a revolution?" Woo, woo. And I, growing up, like I went to actually 2 church services today, but faith has always been something that has been so good for me to have a base in. And with Kurt Franklin and the way, you know, he could play the piano, he can orchestrate, you know, the whole choir.
Yeah.
But also he can sing too. And so it was so cool just watching that. And then, you know, these things resonated with me when I was little so much that I was like, man, I kind of want to be a pastor. And I don't know if that was my calling. I think my calling's more just to be more in like the present sense and community. And I can pray in a bar. I pray on stage almost every show. Like I just turn around for a second, thank God for these blessings. You know, he's been able to be in my life since I was, you know, born pretty much. And he's never left me, forsake me, and loved me. And I haven't made all the best decisions. You know, I am human. I have sinned. But at the end of the day, like I know I have forgiveness and I have a light. And so
Yeah.
thanks, Kurt Franklin.
Yeah. There you go. I love that. Those are such good answers.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, all over the place.
No, that's important. It's great. You covered family. You covered like middle school times. You covered like honestly spirituality. 100%. I think that there's a real connection with music and all 3 of those things. Like the nostalgia of taking you back to a time. I'm noticing a lot of it stems back to a parent or somebody who is like a close guardian, and then however people decide that their spirituality is to them mixed in. And I think that really is what music does. It's like, it's magic. It really does transport you and take you to places and really a lot of the time creates who you become. And I just think that that's so special. It's obviously why we talk about it so much and why we're a part of it. And yeah, how cool to be a part of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. I love it. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I did too. That was a good question. It was nice to go back and think about that stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it's so funny because when I started talking about wanting to ask people these questions, like some people were like, oh, I can't wait to kind of think about it. And then other people were like, might be a little painful. And it's interesting because I think that talking to people about what songs really make or break them in their lives, in their mind, and really influence them, that says so much about a person more than even having like a full conversation about who they are. Like I could ask you, you know, who are you? How do you describe yourself, you know, to me? How do you want me to see you, or how do you think that I see you? Or you could ask them about songs that are deep within them and they could tell you something about their mom. And you're like, wow, now I know immediately so much more about you from you just telling me that about your mom and dancing than I would have if I had a like hour conversation with you about anything else. So I think that's why music is so special, and that's why I love that question so much. So
I appreciate you asking that.
No, it's cool. And I think so many people need to hear their favorite creatives and artists, like where they came from, because like, wouldn't you love to hear you know, Outkast come on and talk about the people that influenced them, and then go back and find out the people who influenced them, and then at the end you're like, wow, I was technically influenced originally by this person, like way back, and you just had no idea.
Yeah, we have a museum that opened a couple years ago, the NAM, National African American Museum.
That's beautiful there.
Highly recommend everyone going in, checking it out. There is a portion, and I was very fortunate to be one of the models who took pictures, opened it, and I got to experience everything for like 8 hours.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was dancing to Beyonce, watching my reflection. I was listening to Michael Jackson. But there is like a portion in there that has influence.
Yeah.
So you can be like, okay. And it's not just African Americans. Like you have Justin Timberlake in there. You have a whole bunch of people, because you have your rhythm and your blues. You have your jazz. You have all these disco funk. How it originated, but also what influenced it, what people took from, and then, You have
Yeah.
your DJs, how it started, and like I read a Will Smith's book, and a lot of it's credited to Jazzy Fresh and how he started changing his breaking and
That's so
certain
cool. I didn't
things.
even know that.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it opens your eyes. It really does. Because now when I'm producing music and I want to take some elements from certain things, and a lot of electronic music, people have cross genre blended quite a bit lately, and the crossovers are so cool to me. I mean,
I've been getting so into just like listening to how people are mixing genres and really like bringing certain things, like even the song that I was just showing you that I put out, the producer that I worked with, his name's Emil, he is amazing. He, even like years ago when we were working on that song, he put in like some crazy backbeats to it, and then he like brought in like all of these different like artists and like mixed their voices in with what I was doing, and like you would never know like the artists that he put in there, but I know that they're in there, and it's just kind of fun to kind of listen and be like, oh, I know that that's like this really cool French song that was like sped up and then like done backwards or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I told you, I was like, I like the elements of this and like how you carried your voice and then switching it.
Thank you.
It was
That's
awesome.
a team effort, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
always a team effort to get the right sound.
Collaborating.
Exactly. Collaboration is key. All right, so I'm going to give you, I'm going to start doing some of the wrap-up questions because they can take a while too. So I like to ask people when they feel at their most authentic.
I think being respected in community is probably the most authentic I can get. Big groups of people I actually love. I'm definitely like a 7 on the Enneagram, but I do love big talk too.
Yeah.
So I'm not much of a small talk person either. So if I can get to stories that, get to tell who you are, but also hear other people's, I think that's when I like am at my best.
Yeah, that's a cool answer. We haven't gotten that here yet. That's very cool. I like that. I like, obviously you're very into like the community. You're a very like social person, still taking time for yourself, obviously. But I feel like you're going to help a lot of people with not only your music, but everything else that you're helping other people with as well.
Thank you. That's definitely a goal of mine as well, is just to build the community and be supportive. I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, is DJing what you want to do for the rest of your life? And I was like, honestly, I would.
Yeah.
But with that, I also want to be able to contribute to charities throughout all of it, and want to be able to be there and support that. And, I can touch so many people with the music in front of them, but I can touch so many more with fundraising and being able to, apply it to other basic needs that other people don't have, but I necessarily do already. Yeah. And so that's a big passion. And, I hope with more money gives more opportunity.
Absolutely. I think money gets placed in the hands of people who are wanting to do things like that, for sure. Yeah. That's definitely true. But are there any specific fundraisers or anything that you really like want to shout out right now that you would suggest?
I sit on a board for Folds of Honor.
Okay.
And so Folds of Honor is a scholarship fund that we give to wounded, disabled, or veterans who have passed away to continue their legacy to their loved one through education.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's very cool. That's the one that I've been really on. And then I've worked with Caring Hearts and Aloe Family, which theirs isn't just America. Like they don't just work in the U.S. They also work in border towns of Mexico. And so it's really nice to see, helping through nations and seeing the impact. And I just think everyone has a voice, and it's so cool because music's this way too. But like, you might not be able to understand them, but you are able to connect with them.
Absolutely. That is so true. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay. Definitely go check out some of those. We'll try and link them if you want to send them to me. We'll try and link them to the bottom as well, so that people can kind of check those out and donate if they'd like and help out where they wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to ask you something a little lighter that I've been recently asking people on the second season because I mess up lyrics all the time. So, and I think songs say different things all the time. So what is a lyric of a song that maybe you could think of that in your life you have totally thought it said something else?
Oh man, I've been thinking about this when you said it, and I was like, man, I think this is every song. Every song. And I'll change lyrics and put my name in it.
Yeah.
And like, you know, No Hands is such a big song, and it's one of those songs you can't skip.
Right.
And so Roscoe Dash pretty much spells out his name, and
Yeah.
he's like Rosco, and I always put Cisco put it on.
Yeah.
And but at the end of the day, I really love music, and I'm actually pretty lyrical driven in a lot of the stuff that I do. However, I don't know the lyrics outside of choruses. And everyone, like, I try to rap, and they're like, just stop. Just don't even. I'm like, what? It doesn't say that? And they're like, it hasn't said anything you've said. And I was like, oh.
You're like, wow, I really thought this song meant something else.
Yeah. And so now I'm like sitting there, I'm like, watermelon, like changing it to just, you know, the beat of the lyrics.
You're like, this is my song now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not one, there's millions.
Several. I like that you're putting your name in the songs. I know Tia, who's here as well. She always puts her name in the wrong songs too.
We're not conceited. It just says it, and they messed up their own
Yeah,
lyrics.
you're like, that sounds a lot like me, and my life's about me, and I am the main character.
Yeah. They messed it up.
That's right. Yeah, you gotta be the main character in your own life, though. My goodness.
Main character energy.
Main character energy. I love it so much. Oh my god. I was just gonna say, it's so funny. My friend, literally, one of my best friends, she got some of my friend group a little necklace that I'm wearing, and I just wear it all the time now. She got our like initials engraved into it. And then she wanted to remind us that like we need to be like main character energy. So on the back it says main character.
She knows the vibes.
And I was like, now every time I'm like in a bad mood or whatever, I'm like, whatever, you're the main character, put it on. Just that little extra boost of confidence when you're not feeling so great.
We need it.
That's right. Well, I like your jewelry too. I've seen like you got the FOMO on your finger.
Yeah.
And then you got it looks good. It looks great.
Thank you. Yeah. A little celebration moments.
Yeah.
You know, you hit these pivotal points and you're like, okay, wow, I did it.
Yeah.
Well, what's next? I mean, I'm a big like gift giver, acts of service. Those are like my love languages. But at the end of the day, you know, we do so much for so many people. I had to do something for myself. And my friend has a jewelry business, and I just wanted to support him. And it ended up, I felt like he supported me. I mean, pretty much everything was almost at cost. But then I'm able to, you know, use it as a, hey, you should talk to my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to shout your friend out real
Chucky
quick?
V. He is day one Nashville friend, and you know we start posting stuff, and he'll post it on his. He'll take mine, and just little things like that have been so nice. And I'm constantly reminded every day when I get to look at it. This ring actually was one that I designed. Both of them I designed from start to finish. But his wife liked it so much that she asked him if he could ask me to get him a band like it. So there's two of these rings ever made, and it's me and one of my best friends.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and I'm so happy to share a ring, but also these moments with him, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now every time you look down, you're like, see that's what it is. I do that with my tattoos a lot.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly
like if I like got a tattoo with somebody, I'm like, oh, I wonder how they're doing. Text them real quick. Let them know what's up. Yeah. Definitely a thing for sure. Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that. Just like a real quick shout. I was just like staring at your jewelry, so I was like, I need to shout it out. But okay, so one of the last questions is, who is an artist, creative, DJ, anybody that you can think of that you absolutely think needs more recognition, needs to be listened to more, you know, shout them out.
Yeah, Torrin Wells. Torrin Wells is a pop Christian singer.
Cool.
But he's incredible. His voice is so good. I would love to have him on anything, but also I feel like people just need to know that just because it has a religion on it, it's still such strong, fun, powerful music. And his voice, I mean, He truly is special. And a lot of people know him. He's not someone that's just like starting out by any means, but
Yeah.
I just think sometimes people need a little more recognition, and he's gotten me through a lot of difficult moments. And I would, you make these playlists after a breakup, like, you used to make the CDs for the girls and stuff. But he was on one of mine, and I think just hearing his lyrics and his voice has really, I started my mornings with him.
Yeah.
And it just set a good tone for the whole day. But also everything he's put out has been something that's, gravitating.
Yeah.
And not just because I'm a Christian, but also because it's just really good music.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. I love that. Well, we'll definitely have to look him up for sure, because I haven't heard him, but I'm excited.
Yeah, he's great.
For sure. I've learned so many new artists like through this podcast, just like the new ones that everybody shouts out. It's kind of like, honestly, I feel like I'm just asking it for me. But I really want to hear new people that I haven't heard of before. And I think that's really a special, cool thing.
You're allowed to ask.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
I'm like, tell me what I should be listening to. Put me on. But no, that's amazing. You mentioned something in there, and now this is not one of my last questions, but I'm going to make it one. You mentioned that it's part of your morning routine, and because I feel like you probably do the same morning routine pretty often. Can you tell us what that looks like for you? Just because I feel like a lot of people struggle with like getting that space for themselves to be like, no, I am going to start my morning specifically like this, and it works.
And I didn't have a morning routine for so long, and then I created one probably like COVID. In COVID. And then it started changing as I adapted and as I grew. And so now my morning routine's pretty set, and I tried a lot, at least 30 minutes before I have to leave the house. I would prefer an hour, but life is tough.
It is.
And when you don't know what time you're going to sleep, I don't sleep a lot. So it's like 5 hours I'm up.
Yeah.
No matter what. So it does help me. But when I wake up, the first thing is, right now I don't have media. So I've just started turning to like Bible verses. And so the first thing I read is that, and then I'll say, Alexa, good morning.
Yeah.
And she reads me the weather. She says, good morning, Cisco. The weather is. And then by that time, I'm up, ready to go. And I'm one of the guys who jumped on the ice bath routine.
Oh, yeah. How has that been going?
It's been good. I'm over 100 days of doing them.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So if I'm at home, it's just a good way to wake up.
Yeah.
And, we try to allot 3 minutes and stuff, but even in the afternoons, I'll just jump in until...
That's crazy. I love that. Have you noticed like a huge difference in the way you like kind of handle your day?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. More so I'm awake, I'm alert, and I got the most difficult thing of my whole day out of the way.
Yeah.
I still like, no matter what, it's still hard.
Yeah.
And you have to, kind of condition yourself, especially now it's even colder. So it's just like, all right, well, it's cold, but the water's going to be colder.
Yeah.
And then just submerging yourself in a feeling of uncomfort.
Yeah.
Than the rest of it. And it honestly gives me enough energy where I don't need coffee.
Yeah.
And then I'm fully alert. And then I move on from the ice bath. I take care of my dogs, and then I go and I read this devotional that I've read, honestly, 3 years in a row. It hasn't changed. It's by
just the same one.
Yeah, the days are the same, but I also like to reflect on it and
Yeah.
like, where was I last year? Do I remember reading this?
Right.
If I don't, then like, let's try to remember this year. And then I'm usually out the house.
Yeah, that's cool. That's amazing. I feel like, do you notice that once you've started like your morning routine, you just kind of like have started like excelling in like the rest of your life pretty differently?
Yeah, I feel clean. Like I feel everything's organized. Like my bed's made. I did like a little skincare routine, not crazy or anything, but like I'm moisturized. I'm happy for the most part because I've already done all the things that normally I am accustomed
You're scrambling to do.
Yeah, well, now I'm accustomed to
Yeah.
it. So it's not like, oh, I missed something, just
Yeah.
like a simple daily vitamin and
Yeah.
all the little things that, now I'm thinking about my routine, and I didn't even think it was that long.
Yeah. But that's good though, because then I guess you feel like it's not taking over your whole day. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, if I have a morning routine, it's going to take over so much of my time that I would be doing something else. But really, most people are just scrolling on their phone.
No, it's 15 to 30 minutes of your whole day to set a tone and be the best thing is coming home to everything in the place that you left it. So the morning routine is kind of that for me. Like I get to come home and I know everything's in place and ready. My whole day is laid out previously. Mentally, I'm already thought about it. I'm sitting there like, what do you do for 3 minutes with nothing on? Either listen to music or listen to a podcast or an audiobook, or I just sit in my thoughts. And like I have to talk to myself. Like I have to pray to get through those 3 minutes a lot of the times. I have to like think about, man, what am I going to do? Anything that gets me from thinking about my fingers, I can't feel. My legs are going numb. It feels like needles are shooting in my thighs, like little things like that. Like how can I change my mindset? And just preparing my whole day. And then, as I'm sitting there, I start thinking about all this and I just start praying. And then it's like, 3 minutes, and I'm out. Like
you're like
I'm
the
dry
fastest
off.
you've
I'm
ever
running
moved.
inside. I'm like, how can I get warm? How can I get, So
I still haven't done it yet, but it's like it's on my list. It's just one of those things. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be tough.
I'll have you over and we'll get down.
You're like, get in the water.
And there's no right way. But like once my feet are in, like as fast as I can get in. Sometimes I just like fall back. Sometimes I'm slower to get in. But it's not the best. But the goal, your results are the best from it.
Definitely. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. I feel like I really struggle sometimes in the mornings where I'm like, okay, like my day feels scattered, but like maybe I got to do something that like is consistent to make that day less scattered. So it's definitely a cool thing to know when it works for people.
Yeah. And there's been where I have to leave the house in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I might get in for 30 seconds.
Yeah. But still do it.
And I'm just still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. Well, I'm like, that's very impressive. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask one more question before we let you go to your busy day. But I want to know what you're doing next. Where can we find you? Where can we see you? What you're putting out next? And everywhere that everybody can kind of find out more about you.
Yeah, in Nashville, I have a show January 20th. So that will be coming, and then I do a charity gala coming up in February for one of the charities that I talked. So those are probably the two here, and then I start a college tour, so I'll be darting off.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's first week of February, so I'll be gone until the end of May.
Cool. I'm glad we caught you before you
left. Two shows every weekend.
That's
and then
amazing.
I'll scatter other things. I'll take President that will come up, and then Miami Music Week, I'll play a show. We have a day festival there going into Ultra, so I'm just really grateful for these opportunities. And March 1st, I get to play in Pensacola for another festival. So I'm just looking forward to these little steps that, have been, those are the ones announced for the next 3 months. And I can't wait to share everything else that's coming.
Where can people follow you? Like, do you have a website that they can go to, or is it just socials, or is it like, how do you like reach out to people, let everybody know?
All my socials are Cisco9 _ 9 was one of my soccer numbers growing up and one of my football numbers. But it's easy. I try to get it as short as possible. And then our website for FOMO is FOMOENT.com. Yeah. Short for entertainment. Cool. So if you're missing out on entertainment.
Yeah, if you need some help on that, you got it for them. Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. That was the thing. It's hard to sit at home. I had so much FOMO going into it, so
That's very true. Yeah. I always joke because I don't know if I really plan on ever putting this out, but I wrote or I'm continuing to write this book called FOMO, and just like the art of a people pleaser and kind of recovering from it, something along those lines. And when I'm feeling kind of stuck or I'm feeling like I'm kind of reverting back into that nature, I'll just like start typing a new chapter, and it just kind of makes me feel better. But I loved that was the name of your company, because I was like, I feel that so much.
No, I love that you're writing about it.
Yeah. There's definitely different ways to write than just the music or whatever. So I you got to have your outlets.
She's
for sure.
a Renaissance woman.
She tries, Yeah. I can't promise it's good, but it's there.
No, it's good. Honestly, anything that you get out is good. It's better than holding it in. So I'm glad, and I can't wait for you to finish it.
Yeah. I'll just show you and maybe the other people in this room. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us. Thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And
I'm so glad people got to know a little bit more about you. I mean, obviously you have a ton of other podcasts that you've been on, you know, that you have like, I think one that's just like strictly about like more business stuff. And then you have one that's like way more about just like Nashville and its environment, things like that. And they're all really fun to listen to. So,
well, thank you. And I know this is going to be fun. I'm glad people get to hear more about your story too.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, a long, unwinding road.
Oh yeah. I mean, we got a lot of turns. We're going uphill, downhill, a little too fast, you know.
I was just thinking like the other day, like, because I had a story pop in my head from when I was like younger, and just like things where I was like, wow, if I told anybody this happened to me, they'd be like, no, it didn't. And so I just usually don't say. But I was like thinking about all of those kinds of moments that I had, and I was thinking about how my mom's always like, your stories are wild, and you just constantly, or you have so much happening or whatever. And there's times where I feel like I've missed out on kind of a normal life, but then I'm thinking like, if you really do want to go for your goals and you want a little bit of an extraordinary life, and you want to kind of try some things that are out of the box, you're definitely gonna have a lot of different stories that go along with the missing out of the other things.
And what is normal these days, you know?
Honestly, does it even exist?
Your norm is so different from everyone else's. And so at least you have cool stories.
It's right. Yeah. I was like, I should probably be writing these down. So like when I'm old, I can hand them over to somebody.
You're like sitting there catching up with someone. And you're like, oh, what do you do? And it's like, oh, I just work and come home and watch a movie. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
What's next? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, so.
But some people, that's what they need. That's what they want. And that's cool.
But that ain't main character energy.
That's not main character energy for me in my life. Yeah, but thank you so much. I really appreciate your candor and your kindness, and I can't wait to see what you have coming up next and everything that you do. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to In Tune with Allison Park. We will see you next week.